Are you worried that somebody in your life that you love and care about might have undiagnosed dementia? Where there's a simple screening tool that you can use. It's something that can be done at home or in a clinical setting, but it's very easy to administer at home. It is not a diagnostic test, it's just a screening tool, but it would let you know whether that person has enough of a decline in their cognitive abilities that it would warrant further testing. Hi, it's Robin with SeniorSafetyAdvice.com. Tune into our channel for tips and hints about seniors and caregivers for aging in place safely. So the test that I'm referring to in my opening is called a clock test. So it's done very simply, just here like this on a piece of paper. It is a screening tool. It is not a definitive test for dementia, but it is a way that if the person fails this test, it gives you a heads up that it maybe is time for them to talk to their doctor or you talk to their doctor about getting further screening done to rule out dementia. Now, while this is a screening tool to help you understand whether there's a reduction in cognitive ability, you have to understand too that the person who is taking the test can fail for several reasons, not just because they have dementia. For example, maybe they're tired, maybe they're stressed. This happens to also use as I showed you, an analog clock face. So if there's somebody who is used to only seeing digital numbers on, like on an alarm clock or on a regular clock, then it may take them a little bit of thinking to kind of get into that clock face that's a regular dial type of a clock face. The clock test measures executive function in the areas of organizing, planning, and flexibility. A decline in that ability, that executive functioning, could warrant a further test such as the SLUMS test or the mini mental state exam, which will be a more definitive test for dementia. So as I said, it's a very simple test to administer at home. It just requires you and the person that you wish to test one blank sheet of paper and then either a pencil or a pen. The way that you administer the test is you sit down with the person, just make sure they're comfortable. You can be sitting at a dining room table, you can be sitting on the couch, wherever they want to sit and they're comfortable. And you're going to give them that piece of paper and the pen or the pencil and make sure that they can write on that piece of paper. Like, in other words, if you're giving it to them and they're sitting down and they don't have a table in front of them, they need to have a magazine or something that they can put that piece of paper on so that they can write on it without going through into their clothing. So, but once you start the test, the first thing that you do after you hand them the paper and pen is to say, I am going to give you a list of 3 words, and I would like you to repeat that list back to me. So this list of 3 words is just 3 easy words that are unrelated to each other. So for example, it could be, the 3 words could be apple, octopus, and car. Not related at all. So you give them that list, apple, octopus, and car, and you have them repeat it back to you. Now, once they have repeated it back to you, then have them take that piece of paper and pen or pencil and draw a clock face for you. So now you could, if you wanted, you could pre-draw the circle for them, but have them put in the numbers where they belong. Now, once they have drawn their circle, give them a simple task of making the hands point to a particular time. You don't want to say something like, put the hands at 10 and 2, because then that's obvious. They should be able to figure that out. What you want to do is be a little ambiguous. So you want to be clear and yet not clear. In other words, what you want to do is say, put hands on the clock so that it says 10 till 2 or 4:30. That way they have to think about it and process what that means. And there again, that's part of that executive functioning that we talked about earlier. Once the person has completed putting the hands on the clock face at the appropriate time or at what they think is the appropriate time, the next thing to do then is to ask them to repeat that list of words that you had given them before they started the test. So in my example, they should repeat back to you apple, octopus, and car. The big question is, can they do all of those tasks? So here's where the scoring comes in, and this is going to help you determine whether further testing is warranted. So the first part of the scoring is whether the numbers on the clock are correct. So in other words, did they put the 12 o'clock at the top and the 6 at the bottom? Is 7 in the appropriate area? Is 2 where it should be? That kind of thing. The next thing is, are the hands in the correct place? So if you told them to write down half or put the hands at 4:30, are they on the 6 and are they on the 4? The last thing that you're grading is the word score. So that list of unrelated words, apple, octopus, and car. Did they get those words right? And if they did or didn't, how many did they get right or wrong? So starting with the word score, if they did not get the words correct, then definitely they should be assessed for dementia if they didn't get any of the words correct. Now, if they got 1 or 2 words correct, but the clock was incorrect. Let's say the numbers weren't in the right spot or the hands were not where they should be. It's another indication that you should screen them for dementia. If the clock itself was drawn correctly, but they only were able to give you 1 or 2 words from that list of unrelated words, then it's indicated that you should consider testing for dementia. And obviously, if the clock is okay, the numbers are in the right place, the hands are in the right place, and the person remembered all 3 words, then there is no indication that you need to screen further for dementia because they did just fine. Keep in mind, as we age, memory loss is a thing. I mean, I have problems myself and I'm only in my mid 60s, and sometimes I think, oh, where is that word? I know the word I'm trying to say. So people can be a little off on some of their things, and it doesn't necessarily indicate dementia. But when you have a test like this and the person does something completely wrong or can't remember that word list, it is definitely time to consider screening them. So I definitely would talk to the doctor about that or talk to the person and tell them that you really would like to have them screened for dementia. Remember, the earlier that dementia is diagnosed, the better it is in the sense that there's more interventions that can be done and it can help that person and the caregiver navigate their dementia and do as best as they can for as long as they can. So it's always a good thing to have it discovered earlier rather than later. Keep in mind too that a failed clock test, like I said before, could be failed because the person is under stress or the person is tired, something like that. But also, the failed clock test can indicate a condition such as Parkinson's or Huntington's disease, as well as dementia or Alzheimer's. So again, if the person fails it, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have dementia, but they may have something else that it would be best to be found earlier rather than later. And again, this is not a diagnostic test. It is very comprehensive in knowing that there is something wrong, though. And the Alzheimer's Association endorses this as a simple screening tool to say that more screening and a diagnostic type of screening is indicated. So I'm going to quickly run through the clock test in person so that you can see how it goes step by step because it's kind of difficult to describe it on a list here. So I am going to do that, and then I'll show you a couple of things that somebody could do wrong on a clock test, and that will help you to understand a little bit more how the test is scored, what things you should be looking for. Okay, so I have given you a piece of paper here, and you've got a pen, and we're going to do a clock test. But before we do the clock test, I want to give you a list of 3 words that I want you to repeat the list after I give it to you. So the 3 words are apple, octopus, and car. Can you repeat that list back to me?
Apple, octopus, and car.
Great. Okay, so now for the clock test itself, I'd like you to please draw a circle of a clock face on the paper and put the numbers in the correct spot that you would find on a clock. Great. Okay, the next thing I'd like you to do, please, is I'm going to have you draw the hands on the clock and I want them at a specific time. So I would like you to please put the hands on the clock that would show me 4:30. So draw the hands and then just make them point to the numbers for 4:30. Very good. And the last part of this test is to have you repeat back to me that list of 3 words that I gave you when we started.
Apple, octopus, car.
Very good. All right, so that concludes the test. Thank you very much. You did great. So now that you've seen the test and how it goes, here are some examples of things that could be wrong, ways that could be wrong that will give you a good indication that the person should be screened for a cognitive decline. As you can see here, the numbers are all on one side of the clock face. They're not where they should be. In this example here, the test was not drawn with the hands in the correct position. And then obviously the list of 3 words, if they cannot remember those, then that of course lowers their scoring. So I hope that this video has been helpful for you. If your loved one did fail any part of it and you see a need to go ahead and get them screened, again, remember early intervention is best for them. It will help to get them the care that they need the soonest that they can get it, as soon as possible. So it's never a bad thing to take somebody in for a cognitive exam. So I hope this video has been helpful. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up. It helps to keep our video up in the algorithm so that it's shown to more people and more people will have the benefit of this knowledge. Also, please subscribe to our channel. The subscription button is down in the corner down there, and that way you will never miss any of our informative videos. So until the next video, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.